welcome to the Crafty Science Mom. So, I told you to check back and see which liquid is water. So, I've got three liquids here. I have A, I have B, and I have C. So, which liquid did you think? Now, when I'm doing this in a classroom, which I did many, many times, I always want to make sure that my students made observations about the liquids first. And if you go to the website, there's a really cool student activity sheet that allows them to do that. It's already made for you. You simply got to print it, right? So let your students make observations about each liquid. You know, obviously all three liquids are clear, but they definitely have different viscosity. So that's a great word, especially for your middle schoolers. Or for your little ones, maybe they say, well, one is a little bit thicker than the other. You know, one of them has bubbles that sometimes are attached to the side. So really just let your students make those observations. Now, to figure out which liquid is water, yesterday, my lovely helper Geneva and I, we just dyed some ice cubes blue. Literally just threw some blue food coloring into an ice tray, pop these bad boys out, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take the ice cubes, we're going to drop them into each of the liquids. So I've got 2 ice cubes, gonna drop them in. Okay. So now I'm gonna flip this around so you can see it up nice and close, and then let's see if you can figure out which one is water. All right, here we go. So we have A. What do you notice about those ice cubes? Where are they located? We've got B, same thing. Okay. And now we have C. So, once again, with your students, allow them to make observations and sketch. Sketching is so important in science. So sketch where are the ice cubes located in the container when you drop them in, okay? So when you add them to the liquid, where are they? So once again, this is A, B, and C. So now that we have the ice cubes in, we should be able to tell which one is water. Do you know which one's water? All right, if you guessed C, then you're correct. Now, some people may say, well, how did you know that just based off of ice? Okay, well, water is weird. Water is definitely weird. This all has to do with density, okay? So with your older students, so in 8th grade, we'd start talking about the density of water and how water was different than a lot of other things, because as a solid, it's less dense than when it's in a liquid form. So when something is less dense, it would be at the top. So the ice is less dense than the water, so it floats at the top. Now I will let you know B is a mineral oil. When the students get to look at it more closely, they can see that the viscosity is very different. It looks thick. And then A is rubbing alcohol. Now, the thing with the rubbing alcohol is you want to get 91%, because once again, if you have a substance that's mostly water, the ice is just going to float. So here, once again, when you're working with your older students, you can talk about how the ice has to be more dense because it sinks to the bottom. And same thing here is that the water itself as ice has to be more dense than the rubbing alcohol, right? So What's really fun though is that you can even do this as a really fun thing for young kids too, because it's so important in STEM just to start making observations. And one of the ways you can even relate it to any kid is think about when you get a glass of water. What happens to that ice? Think about soda. Well, what is soda mostly made out of? Where does that go? Right? And really actually start looking at it. And it's fun because your students will start doing that. They'll see when is ice floating in their drink, and then they'll want to look at it more. Well, how much water is actually in this? What's going on? So I want to thank you for stopping in, joining us today. Stay tuned, like, subscribe for some more easy, fun STEM activities that you can do with your kids. And if you hold on tight at the end, I'll have a whole list of things that you need. Also, don't forget to go to the website and print out that activity sheet to make it so much easier for you and your students to enjoy. Thanks again. See you next time.